This is the first in what might be a series of videos on really very basic hints about what you can do on your PC. Now, if you're anything like my wife, you really don't want long lectures on anything to do with computers, but you do want to be able to use them, and you want to know how to do it when you need how to do it. Well, it doesn't really work like that. So I'm hoping that during this time of forced inaction by some people, many people, you might take the opportunity just to every now and then stop and watch and see what suggestions are available. And I want to say, if it's something that really doesn't work for you, doesn't mean anything, then fine, just ignore it. But if it's useful, make a note, go through it again, maybe even write it on a piece of paper down, write down what you need to do in sequence, or keep it somewhere safe so you can keep referring to it. But, see how it goes. So let's talk about what you can do with just one window. What are some of the flexible things you can do with a window in Windows? Now, let me say this is specific to Windows. So if you use an Apple computer, some of these things will not work. They are specific to Windows. Apple's got its own little nicks and knacks things that you can do with the Windows as well. And I'm going to simply open one window. I'm assuming that you often use Edge. So I'm going to open Edge. There's a window. And I hope that you know that there's a kind of virtual bar at the top of this window. It's not always easy, and you've got to be careful you don't click somewhere where there's something already happening. But if you click on an empty part, it's the window title bar, and you can drag the window around. So you can move it to somewhere suitable. So if you like it in the middle of the screen, then you can do that. If you like it over to one side, you can do that. You can move your window. Okay. You can also make the window bigger or smaller in a variety of ways. You can widen it by grabbing. If you move your mouse very carefully, you can see that the little mouse indicator changes. There it's a finger, there it's an arrow, but in the middle it becomes these two arrows, and that's an indicator that you're able to resize the window. And what you do is you click and hold. You click down on the left button on your mouse and you pull like that. You pull it around and you can resize it. Now that may take a little getting used to if you're not comfortable with the mouse, but it's not too difficult. Just try it, but just move your mouse very gently, get to the position, and you then need to kind of click it without moving the mouse. That's the difficult bit. A lot of people, when they click it, kind of jog the mouse as part of clicking it. So you've got to learn how to click the mouse without moving the mouse, and then you can drag it. Now, let me say, and I should have said this really right at the beginning, most mouses have two buttons, a left button and a right button. And if you're right-handed, the left button is usually set up for, if you like, the routine stuff, and the right button gives you some extra facilities. So I'm going to assume that it's set up in that way. If you're left-handed, you may have had it set up so it reverses these two. So if you're left-handed, it may well be that when I say left button, for you it's right button. Okay, it's a virtual left button. So I'm sorry to be rightist, but I can only say so many things. I don't want to have to keep repeating things for different contexts. So when I say mouse click, I really mean you simply click down and up. Just very briefly, you click on that left button. If you need to do a click on the right button, I will call it a right click. I won't call the left one a left click, it's just a click. So the left button is a click, the right button is a right click. When you have to click down and hold, then it's dragging the mouse, and I'm going to talk about drag, right? And if I simply say drag, so here we can drag the window, right, it means you're clicking with the left button. If there's a situation where you do a right drag, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, then in fact I would actually say right drag, and that would mean click down the right button, but most of it's left button. So click means click the left button, right click means click the right button, drag means hold down the left button and then do an action. So we saw that we can drag, widen it, and of course not unsurprisingly you can do the same thing with the height. You can also grab the corners, and you can see now it's at an angle, so you can actually change both dimensions at the same time. Okay, now you can do that with pretty much any windows. There are some windows which don't let you do that, but the vast majority of windows do. So that's resizing a window. Moving window, drag that bar at the top. Resizing, just get your mouse somewhere along the edge and drag. Okay. There are some particular resizings that are quite useful. You'll see up here there are 3 icons. Now you're most likely to know that big red X, because that one will close the window. I'm not going to do that yet. I want to look at the other 2. The square means full screen. So if I click that, the window will fill the screen. Simple as that. You'll notice that the icon has changed, and if you click it again, it moves it back to where it was, and it remembers where it was. If you click on this bar arrow, it minimizes the window, and that means it sort of apparently closes it, but actually it's not closed. So let me click that. Now you'll see there's a little bar underneath the symbol for the edge, and if you hold your mouse over it, you actually get a little image of what it looks like, and if you click on that icon, it will reopen it again. So that's how you get it back. But if you close it, then it closes it completely, and there isn't a bar, and when you hold your mouse over the edge symbol, nothing happens. So I'm going to open it again just by clicking on edge, and remind you again, minimize, and see that little white bar there, and when you hover the mouse over it, something happens. Click on it again and it appears. So you've got minimize, maximize, close. So those are some fairly basic things you can do with a single window. Obviously you also know about scrolling. Let's go somewhere where there's lots of information. So here's the Microsoft kind of a news outlet, and you can see that there's lots of information, and I hope you can see that I was playing around with this area here. In most windows on the right you have what's called a scroll bar. This one doesn't go all the way top, it's got a sort of a top bit, and then it's got the scroll bar. Now there are several things that you can do with the scroll bar, and the scroll bar is very useful, but it's all about navigating your way through a long document. So think now, this window, think of it as, if you like, a very long sheet of paper. It's only so wide, but it goes down for quite a long way. You'll notice also that when I don't move my mouse, the scroll bar actually kind of disappears for a while, but it's still there. It's just waiting for you to hover, to move your mouse and hover near it. Okay, so there are several things you can do with this. This darker area is called a thumb, but the whole of the bar is here. Okay, and if you want to go down one page at a time, you simply choose an area underneath the thumb and you click, and it takes you down a whole screen. Click again, it takes you down a whole screen. You can see the thumb has jumped. Do it again, click. You have to kind of activate it, unfortunately, but click and it thumbs down. If on the other hand you go right down, you can see there's a tiny little arrow here. Now this is an area or you can go down just a little bit at a time. Okay, so you can either jump whole screens, or you can go a little bit at a time. Don't be too worried about this suddenly jumping. It's because this page is virtual, and so in fact when I got to a certain point it just added more at the end, and as a result this thumb jumped back. The idea of the thumb is it's meant to be positioned roughly where you are in the total amount of page. So it's now telling you the page goes from here all the way down to here, and you're about a third of the way down. Okay, so you can click underneath to go down a page, and of course you can click above to go up a page. So we can see the same things when they go up. Hilltop Town. Okay, notice that. Go down a couple of pages, go up a couple of pages, and we're back at Hilltop Town. You can do the same with the little one that goes down in small doses, and in fact you'll see there's another little arrow at the top where you can go up in small doses. The other thing you can do is you can actually drag, remember dragging the mouse, you can drag the thumb any amount you want. So you can move quite a long distance if you know that you're near the end, or you can do whatever. Okay. There are some situations where you get a similar bar along the bottom. If you've got a screen with very wide content, you also can have a scroll bar on the right. This is known as a vertical scroll bar, not surprisingly because it's vertical, and the other one would be known as a horizontal scroll bar. So there you have it. I think that's enough for today. But hopefully there's some helpful hints there. How to play around and do certain things with one screen.